Years before he took a knee during the national anthem, Colin Kaepernick revolutionized the game in a different manner. At the University of Nevada, the Pittman High of Turlock graduate used his unique blend of size, speed, and arm strength to master head coach Chris Ault's pistol offense. Taken by the 49ers in the second round of the 2011 draft, Kaepernick served as backup until Alex Smith suffered a concussion midway through the 2012 season. Kaepernick led the 49ers to the postseason, and on January 12th, in a divisional round game against Green Bay, the quarterback produced one of the most electrifying performances in NFL history. Kaepernick rushed for a quarterback record 181 yards and 2 touchdowns, and threw 2 scoring passes as the 49ers won 45-31. Kaepernick's signature play was a 56-yard touchdown run, on which he ran untouched through Green Bay's secondary to give San Francisco the lead for good midway through the third quarter. The quarterback's celebration, kissing his flexing bicep, became an internet sensation. The 49ers went on to lose the Super Bowl to the Baltimore Ravens, but Kaepernick's performance against the Packers is undeniable. Most of the remarkable stats and facts from the Warriors' 2014-15 season deal with team accomplishments. But on one remarkable January night, the spotlight was on one man only, Klay Thompson. And it can be argued that in that third quarter on January 23rd, Thompson enjoyed the greatest 12 minutes by one player in NBA history. The guard scored 37 points against the Sacramento Kings. Not in the game, not in the half, but in one quarter. There was no indication of what was coming. Thompson hadn't scored 20 points in 7 of his previous 16 games, and after a strong start, had 13 points at halftime. Thompson's 37-point quarter surpassed the previous record of 33, set by George Gervin and Carmelo Anthony. He finished the quarter making all 13 of his shots, including all 9 three-pointers, an NBA record. As someone who doesn't like being the center of attention, Tara VanDerveer enjoyed her 1,000th career victory in a typically subdued fashion on February 3, 2017. The Stanford women's basketball coach joined the late Pat Summitt as the only women's coaches with 1,000 wins. VanDerveer earned win number 1 in 1978 at the University of Idaho. She spent 2 seasons at Idaho and then 5 at Ohio State before coming to Stanford in 1985. VanDerveer not only put Stanford basketball in the national picture, winning 2 NCAA titles, reaching 11 Final Fours, earning 4 National Coach of the Year awards, and leading Team USA to Olympic gold in Atlanta, she helped elevate the whole sport, especially on the West Coast. Fortunately for the Hall of Famer and her legion of fans, win number 1,000 came on Stanford's home court. A packed Maples Pavilion included VanDerveer's 89-year-old mother, Rita, seated courtside. At game's end, fans flashed 1,000 wins placards as a cloud of confetti drifted down on the coach and her players. Despite coming off their first NBA championship in 40 years, the Golden State Warriors' 2015-16 season started on an ominous note. Steve Kerr's coaching future was in doubt as he dealt with complications from back surgery. In stepped 35-year-old assistant Luke Walton, 3 years removed from his playing career, to orchestrate the title defense. Golden State opened the season 24-0 after a double overtime win in Boston, and was 39-4 when Kerr returned to the sidelines on January 22nd against the Pacers. The Warriors won 15 of the next 16 games under Kerr and entered the season finale needing one last win to pass the Chicago Bulls' all-time record of 72 wins in a season. Stephen Curry led the way in the record-setting victory, scoring 46 points and hitting 10 three-pointers, giving him 402 threes on the season, mocking his own record of 286 set the prior year. Here's some perspective. The Warriors won 57 games over 3 seasons, from 1999 to 2001. After hitting around 200 in April of 2014, Travis Ishikawa was released by the Pittsburgh Pirates. 6 months later, he hit one of the biggest home runs in San Francisco Giants history. Ishikawa's 3-run homer in the 9th inning off Michael Wacha gave the Giants a 6-3 win over the St. Louis Cardinals and their 3rd pennant in 5 seasons, making him the first Giant to send his team to the World Series with a game-ending home run since Bobby Thompson in 1951. Ishikawa, who made a costly defensive blunder earlier in the game, built the count to 2-0 and knew Wacha had to throw a fastball. Wacha did, and Ishikawa swung his way into history. The Giants went on to beat the Royals for their 3rd World Series in 5 seasons. Ishikawa hit just one more home run the rest of his career, but his blast on October 16, 2014 will live in San Francisco lore. Before October 24, 2012, Pablo Sandoval was an all-star and fan favorite. But in Game 1 of the World Series against the Detroit Tigers, he became a baseball legend. Sandoval homered in his first 3 plate appearances, twice off Detroit ace Justin Verlander, setting the tone for a sweep of the Tigers. Kung Fu Panda, as Sandoval was nicknamed when he arrived in San Francisco, joined Babe Ruth, Reggie Jackson, and Albert Pujols as the only players in Major League history with 3 homers in a World Series game. In the first inning, Sandoval hit a solo shot off Verlander, smashing a 95-mile-an-hour fastball over the center field fence. In the third, after Verlander threw 2 changeups in the dirt, Sandoval sent a fastball over the left field fence for a 2-run homer. AT&T Park exploded. When Sandoval came up in the 5th, Verlander was gone. Didn't matter. Al Albuquerque threw a slider that Sandoval kissed goodbye to center field. The third baseman, who had battled weight issues through his career and was in danger of losing his starting spot, had cemented his place in baseball history. The Warriors were dominant. A record 73 wins proved that. They were champions, having won their first title in 40 seasons. But after a loss to LeBron James and the Cavaliers in the 2016 Finals, they didn't want to see a potential dynasty slip away. So that offseason, the team's core players flew to the Hamptons and convinced free agent Kevin Durant to join the club. It paid off. Durant hit dagger 3-pointers in back-to-back Game 3s of the NBA Finals, giving Golden State 3-0 series leads each time en route to their 2nd and 3rd titles in a 4-year span. Durant scored 31 points in 2017's Game 3, but his Game 3 in 2018 was ridiculous. 43 points on only 23 shots, 13 rebounds, and 7 assists. The forward was named MVP of both finals. Durant would depart for Brooklyn after a 2019 Finals loss, but his 2017 and 2018 Finals performances helped etch the Warriors as perhaps the most dominant team in NBA history. Willie McCovey's line drive to Bobby Richardson in 1962. The earthquake sweep in 1989. The Game 6 collapse in 2002. It was all in the past. On November 1st, 2010, the San Francisco Giants were champions at last. San Francisco dominated the Texas Rangers in ways they could not have imagined during a season that lived up to the team's unofficial motto, torture. Tim Lincecum, the 2-time Cy Young Award winner, allowed 3 hits and struck out 10 over 8 innings in the clinching Game 5 victory. The Freak became the 15th pitcher in history to win 4 games in one postseason. Edgar Renteria was named Series MVP after his 3-run homer in the 7th inning of Game 5 was all the offense Lincecum needed. 5 decades of pent-up hope erupted on city streets. 3 days later, fans jammed downtown for what would be the first of 3 championship parades on Market Street. The wait was over. After decades of anguish, the Warriors were finally putting together a contender. They did it through the draft. In 2009, Golden State selected Stephen Curry. 2 years later, Klay Thompson. The next year, Harrison Barnes and Draymond Green. And in 2013, in need of a veteran presence, they acquired Andre Iguodala. It was a sharp-shooting and defensive-minded group, but early playoff exits called for a change. After a Game 7 loss in the first round to the Clippers, head coach Mark Jackson was replaced by Steve Kerr, who had no coaching experience. Golden State recorded an NBA-best 67 wins and rolled through the playoffs to set up a matchup with LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. James was making his 5th consecutive finals appearance, having won 2 titles in Miami. The Cavs, already missing Kevin Love with a shoulder injury, lost another All-Star when Kyrie Irving injured his knee in the Warriors' Game 1 victory. The Cavs bounced back, however, taking Games 2 and 3. Down 2-1, Warriors special assistant Nick Uren gave Steve Kerr the idea to start their death lineup, replacing Andrew Bogut with Andre Iguodala and sliding Draymond Green to center. The move paid off. James, who would average more than 40 points in the first 3 games, was held to 20 points in large part to Iguodala's defense. The Warriors rolled to a Game 4 win and took Games 5 and 6 to claim their first championship in 40 years. Iguodala, whose defense was widely credited with turning around the series, was named Finals MVP. The Warriors had the most dominant season of the decade. Tara Vanderveer set the standard for a dominant career, and Klay Thompson lit the hottest fire. But Madison Bumgarner's performance in the 2014 World Series, capped by a 5-inning save in Game 7, goes unrivaled. It solidified his team's dynasty in that of his manager Bruce Bochy. It changed how we view clutch and bullpens. The Giants were coming off a 10-0 loss in Game 6, during which starting pitcher Jake Peavy recorded only 4 outs. And while Bumgarner made himself available, Bochy chose to save his ace for Game 7. When Game 7 starter Tim Hudson failed to get out of the second inning, it looked more and more like the Giants would need Mad Bum to have any chance at a third ring. Jeremy Affeldt got the Giants out of the second inning and pitched a 1-2-3 third. Michael Morse gave San Francisco a 3-2 lead with an RBI single in the 4th, and after Affeldt tossed another 1-2-3 inning, Bochy called on his big left-hander. Bumgarner had already built up the reputation of being a dominant World Series pitcher. He threw 8 scoreless innings in 2010, he tossed 7 scoreless in 2012, and in 2014, he had already recorded wins in Games 1 and 5 while allowing 1 run over 16 innings. Here came number 40 in gray, strolling across the warning track before breaking into a steady, purposeful jog toward the mound. After allowing a single to his first batter, Omar Infante, Bumgarner retired 14 in a row. That brought up Alex Gordon, representing the tying run with 2 outs in the 9th. Gordon hit a soft single that scooted past center fielder Gregor Blanco, all the way to the left center field wall. When left fielder Juan Perez had trouble picking up the ball on the warning track, it appeared Gordon might score. The Royals All-Star held up at third, and Bumgarner got Salvador Perez to pop up to Pablo Sandoval, capping perhaps the greatest relief appearance in Major League history.